Hello, welcome to another episode of the Quest for a Million Zombie Annihilations or Eliminations or whatever we're calling it nowadays podcast. So, what I did earlier, I did record all my thoughts of what I wanted to have in this episode earlier today, but I recorded it in with the worst microphone. So now here's just me rereading basically the transcription of what I said earlier with a higher kind of quality microphone, I would say. So let's get started here. So yeah, I just wanted to discuss a number of different topics on this podcast. And obviously, I think something beneficial about these kind of podcasts is that when you have your voice out there, you're able to speak about any particular topic that you want, and that's really an underrated thing that a lot of people take for granted, that they don't do as often as they should, because there's something really powerful, not only powerful but also personal, about using your voice to talk to people in this kind of off the cuff way that connect with whoever might be listening, and especially if it's recorded and there's a whole record of the entire history. As I said earlier, it's kind of like diary or a journal of thoughts. And yesterday I did see with my wife the movie Fast and Furious 10. In my opinion, definitely was a great film. No complaints on my end on the quality of the film or the writing. I know these kinds of films, there's typically critics who give it bad reviews because this film is too silly, so many action sequences. But really, with this kind of film, it's really self-aware in the fact that it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's just a flick. It's just something you see to have a good time watching a movie. And the action scenes, there are excessive amount of action scenes in this film, I would say. But just like in real life, I would say if someone were to go through the same kinds of things, they probably wouldn't survive for very long. People have that poetic license to create a movie with characters that constantly survive all kinds of crazy situations that happen. But in the movie you did have this eccentric evil character who is totally insane, played by the guy who played Aquaman, who tries to kill off Vin Diesel's character, whose name is Dom, I think, and his entire family. That's basically the whole story about them trying to undo the damage that this wicked character has caused. And it was definitely a good movie. And I saw it with my wife, and it was pretty fun. And we got the Regal Unlimited pass for both of us, just because of the amount of movies that we want to see. And I'll let you guys know how that goes in the future. But yeah, it's a pretty good concept to just be able to spend $20 and go to as many movies as you want to. But where they do get you is the price of the popcorn. So if you can avoid buying popcorn or anything from the snack stand, you're good. Otherwise, it gets expensive. And I'll review more movies later because we do have that movie pass thing. So hopefully we'll be able to go to lots of movies, and I can talk about them on the podcast, or any experiences that I have with even literature or just life experiences or current events. And once I get to a point where I'd say that I have a lot of material built up, I just want to continue growing this podcast. This is the podcast I want to have for a long time. I know I did previously, a number of years ago, have the Hungry Poets podcast, but this podcast is one that I want to continue on going forward. And also, another topic I want to discuss is that in general, video games have been going downhill. Like, for example, Call of Duty, with the amount of microtransactions and things you can pay for in the game that really don't enhance anything. Really, with a form of art, which is a video game, the art has to come first. If there's outside factors or agenda that come in that influence the art, that's when the art gets destroyed and it becomes something else. So this can be either through any kind of political agenda going to your art, or in other cases can also be just the business side of things taking over so much that you don't really tell the story that you want to tell in your art, or create the product that you're trying to make for the sake of the product itself. So in my opinion, for art to thrive, it has to thrive regardless if it makes money. Even if it doesn't make money, you would still want to make it. That's how you tell something's art or not. If you're making it solely for the purpose of making or taking a profit, and it's not art for art's sake, that's really not something that you want to have happen. Um, and really, a lot of political agendas and these kind of outside factors destroy a lot of different kinds of media, um, including music, including big one is poetry. Poetry nowadays is just awful. Like it's I can't even find any influences because everything sucks basically. So it's like, where am I gonna go? What am I gonna listen to? But I have been listening to a number of albums. Right now, I'm listening to Flyleaf, which is actually a great band. A band I didn't listen to that much when I was younger, which I really should have, been more, um, a fan of. I would say. Um, I haven't really changed my musical repertoire much over the years. What I did is listen to like a whole bunch of early on in my youth, listen to a whole bunch of Switchfoot and Green Day, a whole bunch of pop punk bands. But the art form is something that is really is like a healing thing. It helps you with healing is if you're going through any kind of like situation, because I think what music does for me personally, this is how I see it. Even if you have like a totally different like worldview from someone or totally different way of seeing things, if you listen to the same music, you can have a sort of union with someone, which is sort of like what the theme of the book Unity was about that I wrote a while back. Um, as you continue to go through life and experience things and grow as a person, music can help, or art or whatever you're involved in, can help you grow and experience these things in a new, motivated way. I would say it does connect people on a way, in a way that a lot of people, you know, aren't able to otherwise achieve that kind of unity. Um, and it brings them together despite like political opinions, and even music, regardless of what political borders people want to put up, emotions and art are universal. It's like something that can transcend any kind of manufactured barrier. And also, what I would also say is that trying to read my notes here. Um, so yeah, I've been doing a little bit less writing than I would like to recently. It's really been slowing down with my personal life and just really not finding any time to do anything of the kind of any writing. Like recently, what I'm doing now is my first real lick of free time that I have recently. So that's why I'm spending on like connecting with an audience and doing a podcast just to talk to people. Or I do welcome feedback on these kind of podcasts. So if you can find my email on my website, I'd be happy to hear from people. Email's also on the YouTube channel as well. But I used to be really involved in trying to make my own music, but what I found was I focused more on the lyrics than the actual music, because and only because with music, I think my early on, this is like 2012 or 2011 or whatever, like a long time ago, my skills weren't that good. So obviously I found myself gravitating more towards words, and that's how I got to the point I'm at now. Um, and I've basically been writing a bunch of books, like 16 or 17 books, and that I've pretty much lost count of how many books I've written. And I've been feeling recently, as far as my mood is concerned, extremely relaxed and like in a really chill and calm mood as far as I'm concerned. I'm interested in a lot of things and researching and reading and growing my knowledge, but because there's no real main anxiety that I have, feel very secure in my place in life now. For example, financially with my job, with my relationships with my wife and my kid, who is 5 or 6 months old, and I feel like nothing really could go wrong here except for like if God forbid something goes wrong with finances. But we're good. It's like I feel like pretty calm and chill about everything, and that's just my personal aspect of things. And as far as my writing is concerned as well, the mood I have definitely impacts my writing. I think the biggest thing with my writing is actually finding, as I said earlier, finding the time to sit down and to get the words on paper or read it on a computer. It's just a matter of finding the time, and once I find that time, I really hit a stride. For example, when I originally wrote the last poem, which was written in 2018, I was just inspired. I just sat down and started writing and got this unique concept out, this powerful and poignant concept that would really touch people's hearts about the character Pain and Serenity, with Serenity dying on the last day of high school and Pain just going on a poem he writes, which is basically him mourning the loss of his girlfriend in this very painful kind of way. And speaking of that, I did have a book signing the other day on Friday. Actually, it wasn't Friday. I think it was Saturday. It was actually Saturday. And it was last Saturday, which would have been in my calendar that says the 20th of May of 2023. And there weren't actually that many people there, but I did have lots of good conversations with the authors there, including my friend Mike Thompson. But aside from that, what I would say is that there weren't many people there, but the people that came to my table actually bought books, which about 3 people. 6 people came to the table, half bought books, so that's a pretty good percentage, I would say, for encountering people versus sales. The key is actually meeting people, getting the product in front of people's ears, and then I start to succeed. How do you find people nowadays? It's crazy, and I feel like in many ways the YouTube algorithm hasn't been very, for lack of a better word, kind to me, I would say. So that's really all I want to talk about in that regard. And I did sell a copy of Unity, a copy of Nuestra Casa Eternal, and a copy of what's the other one? It's American Born: Psalms of the Silent Nation. And right now, because there's no main anxiety that I have right now, I am in a really extremely relaxed mood in general at this point. And again, it feels like nothing really is going wrong at all in my life. It feels like everything is just fine. So, I think that's the place a lot of people want to get to. They get to this point where as long as you have the basic things that you need, you really don't need anything else. As long as you're fulfilled, satisfied with your role in life as contributing to whatever kind of cause or spirituality you want to commit yourself to, that's where people find happiness in a lot of ways. That's just my my personal thoughts on that kind of stuff. But as far as just one second, so I kind of lost myself in my notes, but as far as what was I going to talk about? So as far as the zombies mode is concerned that I've been playing here, I did complete one game of Vanguard recently. I think I got 600 something kills or eliminations. I feel like that mode is the mode I've been playing the most often, so it's just why I'm the best at it. And I feel like it's one of the easier zombie modes to rank up amount of eliminations. And obviously I'm going to go with this game until I get to the crowned 1 million eliminations, which is the crown goal here that we're looking to get. I do want to keep these episodes short. Not sure how long we've been going for at this point, about 13 minutes. I was, earlier just recording this on a different device, and now it's transcribed, and I'm just reading the transcription. But I think that's all for now. I think if there's any updates on anything I have to say about religion, literature, art, world events, things in my life, I'll definitely go ahead and let people know. But I would leave people with, if ever someone gets in a bad situation that they need to get out of, as far as some kind of financial or medical situation or kind of breakup or anything like that, it feels like a lot of people do feel isolated and that they have no one to reach out to. That the insane amount of isolation in society is crazy. I feel like we're more connected than ever. We have more opportunities to connect with people than ever with social media, but really what it takes, it's been taking the place of a lot of personal interactions, which is what matters. So social media is sort of like a placebo that it's meant to bring people together in person, but it acts as a placebo or replacement, which actually destroys people's relationships. But again, if someone goes through something that's not good or a bad experience, I just want to let people know that they're not alone, and keep tabs on this podcast for future episodes in which I discuss opportunities for people to get involved and to help people out. Honestly, not sure how well received this podcast is going to be, but again, there's the spreadsheet in the description, which will be updated with either information about the actual zombies mode that I'm playing, or even like just my progress as a writer or things I'm working on will also be in that spreadsheet. And I do want to thank everyone for listening. Not sure really how to close this podcast beyond saying, look out for it both on Spotify and YouTube, hopefully opening up to other platforms soon. And I'll see you guys later. I really appreciate people listening to me, so thank you. It means the world to me, of course. Thank you.